Hello everybody, we've got a quick little beginner blacksmith project for you today. We're going to be making this hot dog fork, marshmallow fork, whatever you want to call it. I made this one out of a piece of 1/4 inch round stock. We'll be using a piece of 1/4 inch square stock for today's project. This piece was 30 inches long. I made it extra long so you didn't get too close to the fire and potentially burn yourself, but I'm currently out of round stock and I'm out of any long pieces of square stock. So we're going to use this piece here. It's a lot shorter, obviously. I mean, you could draw it out. We're just going to work on showing how to forge in the ends here, like this one right here. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get this tossed in the fire, and we'll get to work. All right, I'm going to come in here on the end, and I'm going to mark it with my soapstone at 1.5 inches. This will be the end that we draw out and turn into the forks. All right, so let's get this tossed in the forge. There's our mark right there. Swing over to the edge of the anvil. Alright, that's what we're wanting right there. Alright, so here's what we got so far. Now at this point you can come in here and you can find the center of this and draw a line if you want to. A lot of times I don't do that, I just kind of eyeball it. But now you will go over to the bandsaw or to a hacksaw and just cut down the middle. I usually stop right before this transition here to keep some strength there. So we're going to go over and we're going to cut that, and then we'll bend them out and then forge out the tines. Alright, so there's our tines as forged. You gotta be careful doing these as well, because right down in here you can develop some stress fractures, and you can break one of these off pretty easy. So just keep that in mind as you work it. A lot of people will come in and they'll use a drill, and they'll drill a hole through there, and that kind of rounds that out. Another way is just to come in with a round file and clean it up real good. That'll help prevent stress fractures. But at this point right here, this is pretty much done. You can come in with a file and clean up the edges if you want to, or if you're a better blacksmith than I am, which you probably are, you can just forge the sharp edges down and round it off. But so I'm gonna let this cool down, and then we'll turn our attention to the other end and forge in the loop that'll make it to where it can be hung up. Alright, so here's how it turned out. There's our loop to hang it with. Pretty much left the main body of it alone. Forged out the tines here on the end. Clean them up a little bit with the file. But what I do like about forging these out of square stock more than round stock is if you want to come here along the body of this and do some alternating twists or something like that, the square stock gives you something that's already prepared to work with, so it will save you some time. This one turned out pretty decent even though it's short. I think it would still be right at home, like on a barbecue pit or something. And depending on how big a fire you have going, it would probably work out. Let's get a measurement and see how long it is overall. Alright, so I measured it and it ends up being 20 1/4 overall. So not too bad. It worked pretty well. With that being said, I appreciate you for joining me on this simple little build. If you would, hit that sub button down below, ring the notification bell, notify them of those contents I post. And go out and give these a try. Great way to make some extra cash. Appreciate y'all. You have a good one. Bye-bye.